Why America can print power out of thin air. It begins with a paradox. A nation 20 times smaller than the rest of the world combined can create money, and the world calls it wealth. With a few keystrokes in Washington, trillions of dollars ripple through global markets, reshaping currencies, rerouting trade, and altering the destinies of entire countries. No gold mined, no ships loaded, no factories expanded, just numbers printed into existence. How did one country gain the unprecedented power to create value from nothing? And why does the rest of the world accept it? To understand this, we have to go back, not to Wall Street or Silicon Valley, but to a moment when the entire global economy was in ruins. The year was 1944. World War II was ending, and the world's major economies were desperate for stability. Nations gathered in a small New Hampshire town called Bretton Woods. What they needed wasn't ideology, it wasn't politics, it was a system, something to rebuild trust in a shattered world. Sitting at that negotiating table was the United States, untouched by war on its homeland, holding the majority of the world's gold and producing half of global industrial output. In that room, America held all the leverage it needed, and so the world agreed. The US dollar would be the anchor of the new global financial system. Every currency would be tied to the dollar, and the dollar, crucially, would be redeemable for gold at a fixed rate. Countries needed dollars to rebuild, to trade, to survive, and America would supply them. For a time, this system worked beautifully. The global economy grew at an unprecedented rate. Europe recovered, Japan industrialized, and international trade flourished. But underneath this prosperity was a hidden tension. For the world to have dollars, America had to send dollars out. And the more dollars the world needed, the more the US had to print. By the 1960s, the math started breaking. The United States was spending heavily, from President Johnson's Great Society programs to the escalating war in Vietnam. Other nations watched as America issued dollars far faster than it accumulated gold. Quietly, countries like France demanded gold in exchange for the dollars they held, and gold began draining from US vaults. In 1971, the United States faced a choice: lose its gold, or lose the system. President Richard Nixon chose neither. In a televised address, he suspended the dollar's convertibility into gold, effectively ending the Bretton Woods Standard overnight. The world had built its post-war stability on the certainty of the dollar. Suddenly, that certainty was gone. But there was no alternative. No other nation had the economic scale, political stability, or military reach that could command global trust. So instead of collapsing, the dollar grew even stronger. Freed from gold, it became the first true global fiat currency, backed not by metal, but by confidence in American power. Yet the real turning point came not from central banks or governments, but from oil. In 1974, the United States made a strategic agreement with Saudi Arabia. America would protect the kingdom militarily. In return, Saudi Arabia and later, all OPEC nations would price oil exclusively in US dollars. Every country on earth needed oil. That meant every country on earth needed dollars. Overnight, global demand for the US currency became inescapable. This petrodollar system transformed the dollar into something more than money. It became the bloodstream of global energy. By the 1980s and 1990s, the dollar's dominance became intertwined with the expanding reach of American FINANCE capital markets were the largest, deepest, and most liquid in history. Corporations issued bonds in dollars. Governments borrowed in dollars. Investors stored wealth in US treasuries. treating American debt as the world's safest asset, even when America itself was running deficits. This created a remarkable dynamic. The more the US borrowed, the more the world invested in its debt. The more money America created, the more the world demanded those dollars. The cycle strengthened itself. By the early 21st century, the dollar had become the operating system of globalization. When China rose to power, it didn't challenge the dollar. It accumulated trillions of US Treasury bonds to stabilize its currency and fuel export growth. When emerging economies traded goods, the invoice was often in dollars, not their own currencies. When crises hit, from Asia in 1997 to global markets in 2008, countries sought safety in dollars. The 2008 financial crisis revealed the system's core reality. The US Federal Reserve created trillions of dollars to prevent collapse. Normally, this would cause panic. Instead, the world demanded more dollars, not fewer. Investors fled to US Treasuries, treating the country that caused the crisis as the safest place to store money. And in 2020, during the pandemic, the Federal Reserve expanded the money supply on a scale never seen before. Again, the world responded with trust, not agreement, not approval, but reliance. This is the paradox. Only the United States can print trillions of dollars and watch its currency strengthen. But why does this system persist? The answer lies in the mechanics of global finance. Most international loans, commodities, investments, and reserves are denominated in dollars. Banks around the world need dollars to operate. Central banks need them as reserves. Multinational corporations need them to trade. The entire architecture of global finance has been built around the US currency, and replacing it would require rebuilding the system from scratch. Alternatives exist: the euro, the yen, the renminbi, but none offer the same combination of liquidity, openness, rule of law, geopolitical reach, and military protection. America is not just printing money, it is printing stability. And until the world trusts another nation more than the United States, this system continues. This is what it means for America to print power out of thin air. Its currency is backed by more than economics. It's backed by alliances, institutions, markets, military dominance, and the inertia of global trust built over 8 decades. Yet this power is not invincible. As debt grows and geopolitics shift, nations explore diversification. Digital currencies rise. Trade blocs form. Commodity exchanges experiment with non-dollar pricing. Each movement challenges, however slightly, the foundation of dollar supremacy. Still, for now, the world remains tied to the American financial engine, not because it must, but because it has no better choice. In the end, the dollar story is not about ink or paper. It is about trust, earned, leveraged, tested, but still unmatched. And as long as the global economy depends on that trust, America retains the extraordinary ability to create wealth, influence, and stability from almost nothing. When a single currency becomes the backbone of global trade, something subtle but extraordinary happens. The issuing nation gains not just economic advantages, but systemic leverage, a kind of invisible authority. And in America's case, that authority grew into a form of soft power unlike anything seen in history. The first advantage is known as seigniorage, the profit a country earns by issuing a currency the world demands. When other nations hold US dollars, they are effectively giving the United States an interest-free loan. America sends pieces of paper or digital credits abroad. In return, it receives real goods, services, and investments. Every year, billions flow into the US simply because the world uses its currency. But the second advantage is even more powerful: the ability to run persistent deficits without facing the consequences typical of other nations. When a country spends more than it earns, its currency usually weakens. But for the United States, the opposite often happens. The world treats us debt as a safe haven, so increased borrowing can increase demand for dollars. What would be a warning sign for any other nation becomes a mechanism of strength for America. Global trust reinforces this structure. Investors know that US Treasury bonds are backed by a stable political system, a massive economy, and the ability to tax the world's largest consumer market. So the United States enjoys financing terms other nations could never dream of. Whenever global uncertainty rises during wars, pandemics, or recessions, demand for dollars spikes. Fear strengthens the currency of the very system at the center of global risk. This dynamic creates a financial gravitational pull. Countries build institutions around dollars because everyone else already has. Businesses open dollar accounts. Governments borrow in dollars. Commodity exporters price their goods in dollars. Banks maintain dollar liquidity to settle international payments. The result is a self-reinforcing ecosystem, a network so vast that undoing it would require rewriting decades of financial architecture. Even nations that challenge American influence still rely on the dollar to operate. China needs dollars for trade. Russia needs them for energy transactions. Emerging economies need them to stabilize their currencies. The dollar is, for now, the world's default setting. Yet behind this dominance is another layer: the American security umbrella. From Europe to Asia, US military alliances have created predictable trade routes and stable geopolitical corridors. The world's most critical shipping lanes, the South China Sea, the Strait of Hormuz, the Persian Gulf, have long relied on US naval presence. Stability makes global trade possible, and global trade, in turn, reinforces dollar usage. This is the quiet foundation of American financial power. When you guarantee the system, you become the system. Still, the story is entering a new chapter. In recent years, competitors have begun exploring alternatives. The euro attempted to challenge the dollar, but its fragmented political structure limited its reach. China promotes the renminbi through bilateral agreements, yet capital controls restrict full trust. Russia and some Middle Eastern nations experiment with non-dollar oil settlements, though on a limited scale. And digital innovations, from central bank digital currencies to blockchain-based settlements, hint at the possibility of new infrastructure. But these are early movements, evolutionary rather than revolutionary. Shifting the world away from the dollar would require deep liquidity, open capital markets, strong legal institutions, and geopolitical reliability, all at a scale matching the United States. No single challenger has yet combined all of these elements, and so the paradox persists. America can create money at a pace unmatched by any other nation, and instead of destabilizing the system, it often reinforces it. The world may complain about dollar dominance, yet global markets continue to return to the same conclusion. The US offers scale, safety, and predictability, the rare trifecta that underpins trust. In the end, the dollar's power is not simply the result of policy or strategy. It is the product of history, geography, institutions, and influence converging into a single currency with global utility. The United States built the financial highways the world now travels on. And until an alternative route proves safer, the world will continue using them. Perhaps one day a new system will emerge, more decentralized, more digital, more multipolar. But for now, America retains its extraordinary privilege, the ability to convert confidence into capital, and capital into power, with a printing press that shapes the modern world.